Welcome to Spotlight Chronicles. Today we're taking a deep dive into a film that kind of famously declared it wasn't a love story.
Oh, yeah. 500 Days of Summer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yet it became this, really beloved romantic comedy for a lot of people.
Hmm.
So we're going to unpack a fascinating review from FILMTIPPS.at. We want to explore how this 2009 American film really challenged genre norms and maybe what it truly reveals about, well, the complexities of connection and disconnection.
It definitely does that.
Get ready for some, hopefully, fresh perspectives on a movie that still sparks a lot of conversation today. Okay, so to really get why it hit so hard, let's maybe recap the core story first.
Good idea.
It centers on Tom. He's an architecture graduate, but he's kind of stuck writing postcard slogans. Bit ironic.
Yeah, a little bit.
And then there's Summer. She's the new girl at his firm. Very intriguing. For Tom, it's pretty much bam, love at first sight. Like, everything just clicks for him.
Right. That lightning bolt moment.
But Summer, her whole philosophy is just
very different.
She says it outright. Not looking for love, not interested in relationships, definitely not seeking responsibility.
Fun, basically. To be unbound, as the film puts it.
Yeah. But despite her saying all this very clearly, they do get together.
They navigate this kind of ambiguous space.
Exactly. And then, well, the story jumps across these 500 days.
Right.
They don't end up together.
Right.
Tom is left completely devastated, just, trying to piece together what went wrong.
In this relationship, that wasn't really technically a relationship.
Right. In their non-relationship, it's a premise that grabs you straight away, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And what's fascinating is how fast critics picked up on this unconventional thing. Even the early reviews, they were just full of praise.
Really? Like right off the bat?
Yeah. One U.S. paper called it the coolest romantic comedy of the year, which is quite the statement.
Definitely.
And it wasn't just in the U.S. German critics, too. They loved it. One described it as a very particularly charming debut film. They pointed out its great music, its innovative narrative form, even a touch of suspense.
Suspense. Interesting.
Yeah, and how the timeline jumps around, maybe. They also like the new perspectives on Los Angeles and the two excellent lead actors.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel.
Exactly. So all this early buzz, it really suggested this was something much more than just another rom-com. Genuinely fresh.
It is striking, isn't it? Because the film's own narrator says, right up front, this is not a love story. It's like a challenge.
It absolutely is.
So, if all the critics, despite that disclaimer, are calling it a romantic comedy, and the film itself denies it, what really makes it so different? What are those specific things setting it apart?
Well, the FILMTIPPS.at critic really tries to pin down that unique quality. They call it a charming, somewhat weird, always nice, enjoyable indie romantic comedy.
That's quite a description.
It is, but it kind of captures it, right? And a huge part of that vibe is the soundtrack.
Ah, the music, yes.
It's driven by music you'd hear on, like, indie radio. Think the Smiths, Pixies, Feist, Wolfmother, that kind of sound.
The FM4 universe, as the review puts it.
Exactly. And this music isn't just background. It actively makes the film sort of swing between euphoria and, well, melancholia, maybe more accurately.
Yeah.
The review has this great line. It feels like a good pop song. Bittersweet, captivating, euphoric, and melancholic all at once.
I love that. It really captures that emotional roller coaster.
Definitely. That range, driven by the music, it's a big part of what makes it feel different.
That music thing isn't just atmosphere, right? It's actually part of the plot.
Totally central.
Tom, the main character, he's a huge Smiths fan.
Passionate about them.
And what first gets Summer's attention?
She likes the Smiths, too. She hears him listening, and that's the spark.
That shared taste.
Precisely. It's the catalyst. But, looking bigger picture, it raises a really key question the film asks, even if implicitly. Is that enough? Is sharing a favorite band or any common interest really enough to build something real on, especially when one person, Summer, has already said, hey, I don't want a relationship?
Right. It challenges that whole idea of meant to be based on shared tastes.
Exactly. What happens when the foundations are maybe not as solid as one person thinks?
And this kind of ties into another point the review makes, an interesting critique. That the film is maybe a bit too tame. It notes things like, nobody smokes or uses bad words, essentially. For one joke.
The penis joke. Yeah. Quite funny, actually.
And it mentions naked skin is taboo. Sex is mostly just mishaps and embarrassments.
Sanitized, almost.
Which leads the critic to ask this really provocative question. Independent is the new mainstream.
Ooh. That's a good question.
It suggests, like, it looks indie, it sounds indie, but maybe it avoids the really edgy stuff.
Yeah, the grit or the darkness you sometimes find in truly independent films. Perhaps it was a conscious choice.
To keep it charming, maybe.
Yeah.
Broaden the appeal.
Could be. It maintains that indie feel, that sensibility, without maybe pushing boundaries into territory that might alienate some viewers.
The balancing act.
A very successful one, commercially and critically, it seems. It felt different without feeling perhaps too different for a wider audience.
Okay, let's shift focus a bit to the director, Mark Webb. This was his first feature film.
Right, he came from music videos, a lot of them.
And you can really feel that background in the film, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
How did that shape the way it looks and tells its story?
Oh, massively. It's fascinating, actually. His music video experience just shines through everywhere.
How so?
The review praises his direction as very stylish. It calls the cinematography exceptionally aesthetically executed.
High praise.
Definitely. And it points out how visual tricks or gimmicks are used economically but meaningfully, not just for show.
Like that split screen scene. Expectation versus reality.
Exactly. That's the prime example they mentioned. It's brilliant, visually showing Tom's warped perspective.
It really lands.
Yeah. So that focus on visuals, the editing style, the innovative ways to tell the story non-linearly, it clearly sets it apart.
And the actors help sell that unconventional story, too.
Oh, hugely. Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Zooey Deschanel, the review calls them the most likable, slightly off-kilter couple.
Huh. Slightly off kilter. I like that.
They even playfully compare them to Sid and Nancy, which is quite a comparison.
Whoa, okay. Maybe just in terms of unconventional chemistry.
I think so, yeah. They just have this unique energy together that makes you believe in their connection, even with all the ambiguity. They feel real.
Which brings us to maybe the most crucial, most discussed aspect of the film, where it gets really interesting.
The perspective.
Exactly. The whole story is told only from Tom's point of view. His memories, his feelings, you're stuck in his head.
And that is such a critical choice. Because, like the review says, Summer remains until the end a fascinating but enigmatic being. A mystery, so to speak.
A mystery.
Yeah. The critic even jokes it's a film for those who struggle to understand women, like you and me, with a wink.
Okay. Seriously, that single perspective, it just completely shapes how we understand everything. We don't get her internal thoughts, her reasons.
No access to her side at all.
Nope. It's not just Tom's story, it's his version of the story, filtered through his idealization, his heartbreak, his, frankly, flawed viewpoint.
So Summer stays undefined by design.
Pretty much. Intentionally enigmatic, a puzzle for Tom. And because we're seeing it through his eyes, a puzzle for us too.
So what's the takeaway there? For us, the viewers, being given only one side.
Well, I think it really forces you to think, doesn't it, about how much of our own perception of relationships is just that our perception...
Filter through our own stuff.
Exactly. Our hopes, our biases, our past experiences, our disappointments. The film is super clever in showing how subjective memory and emotion are, especially when it comes to love, or what we think is love.
How does the FILMTIPPS.at review ultimately position the film?
It kind of poses these questions like, is 500 Days of Summer a romantic comedy for people who don't like romantic comedies?
Yeah.
Or maybe a date film for that indie music-loving audience, the FM4 crowd again?
Right.
The reviewer admits it's not perfect. I mean, what film is?
Yeah.
But concludes it's largely unembarrassing, pretty to look at, and holds a few very beautiful moments.
That sounds like a solid recommendation, actually. Understated, but positive.
Yeah. And then it ends with that final exchange from the film that perfectly captures the whole bittersweet. Probably eventually. Maybe.
Ugh. Yeah, that hits.
It really sums up the whole film, doesn't it? That bittersweet, kind of unconventional vibe. It sets out to be a love story that insists it's not one.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives this really raw, maybe one-sided, but still insightful look at attraction and heartbreak and just the messy process of moving on.
Yeah.
It messes with your rom-com expectations
Mm-hmm.
and leaves you thinking,
Yeah.
with this feeling of realism that sticks with you.
So why should you, listening now, care about a film that basically fights its own label?
Good question. Because it's just such a unique and, I think, insightful way of looking at how we connect with people
Wow.
or disconnect. It's a masterclass in showing subjective viewpoints.
Definitely.
Think about it. If this film teaches us one thing, it's how much our whole understanding of a relationship can be completely shaped by our own perspective, especially if the other person seems like a mystery.
Like Summer does to Tom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's a thought. What if you could suddenly see one of your own past relationships? Maybe one that ended, maybe even one that worked out totally from the other person's point of view.
Whoa.
How much would your story, your whole narrative about what happened, suddenly change? Would your what went wrong explanation hold up? Or even your what went right?
That's a really interesting question to ponder.
Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive into 500 Days of Summer. We really hope this analysis gave you maybe a fresh angle on a film that's got way more going on than it might seem at first glance.
Hope so, too. It's definitely worth revisiting.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Spotlight Chronicles.